Hey Snap fam, your daily dose of global news just dropped, and it's sending ripples all the way to our continent. We're talking about a massive geopolitical shift that just went down, and its impact is already being felt right here in Africa. Get ready, because President Trump's latest move on Iran is a game changer. Did you know 14 bunker buster bombs just obliterated Iran's top nuclear sites? That's right, the US just launched Operation Midnight Hammer. But here's the local angle. South Africa's government is expressing great anxiety over this escalation. We'll break down what this means for our region, especially for things like petrol prices and stability. Before we dive deeper, smash that subscribe button, double tap to like, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any breaking updates from an African perspective. US President Donald Trump yesterday confirmed massive air and missile strikes on 3 critical Iranian nuclear facilities: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called it Operation Midnight Hammer and declared Iran's enrichment capabilities obliterated.
Last night, on President Trump's orders, U.S. Central Command conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against 3 nuclear facilities in Iran: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan, in order to destroy or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. But it's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of his time in office, President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that Iran must not get a nuclear weapon. Full stop. Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength, Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen. And the U.S. military, we can back it up. The most powerful military the world has ever known. No other country on planet Earth could have conducted the operation that the chairman is going to outline this morning. Not even close. Just like Soleimani found out in the first term, Iran found out when POTUS says 60 days that he seeks peace and negotiation, he means 60 days of peace and negotiation. Otherwise, that nuclear program, that nuclear capability will not exist. He meant it. This is not the previous administration. The President Trump said no nukes. He seeks peace, and Iran should take that path. He sent out a truth last night saying this: any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Signed, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Iran would be smart to heed those words.
Trump, in a televised address, called it a spectacular military success, warning of far greater future attacks if Iran refused to make peace.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying, death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Razan-Kane, revealed this was the largest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001. Imagine this: 14 GBU-57 bunker buster bombs, some weighing 30,000 pounds, hit deep underground targets. Over 125 U.S. aircraft and submarine-launched cruise missiles were involved. The crazy part? Not a single shot fired back from Iran's air defenses.
Last night, on the President's orders, U.S. Central Command, under the command of General Eric Kurilla, executed Operation Midnight Hammer, a deliberate and precise strike against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. This was a complex and high-risk mission carried out with exceptional skill and discipline by our joint force. I want to thank every service member, planner, operator that made this mission possible. Their actions reflect the highest standards of the United States Armed Forces. This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of the plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command area of responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the strike package approached Fordow and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out.
Right here in South Africa, the government has noted with a great deal of anxiety the U.S. entry into the Israel-Iran conflict. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya stated, "It was South Africa's sincerest hope that President Donald Trump would use his influence to prevail on the parties to pursue a dialogue path." South Africa is a strong advocate for diplomacy and non-proliferation, especially given our own history of seeking peaceful resolutions. Magwenya specifically called on the United States, Israel, and Iran to give the United Nations the opportunity and space to lead on the peaceful resolution of the matters of dispute, including inspections of Iran's nuclear capacity. This highlights Africa's commitment to multilateralism and peaceful conflict resolution. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, slammed the bombing as outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. This U.S. action comes just over a week after Israel launched missiles at Iran, and Tehran retaliated. Analysts are already warning that this escalation could significantly impact global oil prices, which directly affects our petrol pumps and overall cost of living across the African continent. South Africa is pushing for diplomacy. Do you think the UN can still de-escalate this conflict, or is military action now the only path? How do you think this will affect our daily lives, especially with potential fuel price hikes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this snap, subscribe for more updates on how global events impact us here in Africa, and ring that bell. To recap, the US has dealt a major blow to Iran's nuclear program. But the real story for us in Africa is the anxiety from our own government and the looming economic impact, especially on fuel prices. The world, and particularly our continent, is now waiting to see if diplomacy can still avert a wider tragedy. Stay tuned for our next update, as this global saga continues to unfold right on our doorstep. Thanks for watching, Snap Fam.